Hi, Hannah. I know it's only been a week since we last met, but how have you been?
I've been doing really good.
That's really great to hear, Hannah. So this meeting, we're going to talk about termination and just the progress that you've made and um, some of the hard things that you went through and the barriers you've overcome and all that kind of good stuff. And then we'll look towards some of the emotions and we'll talk about what you're feeling towards termination. And then we're going to look forward and see what your next steps are. So to start, I just want to continue to reiterate that you've come so far and you've made so much progress throughout this case plan. Like if you look back, I have the case plan here. Like you've accomplished all of these objectives, and even the ones you haven't accomplished, like the addressing your mental health, you haven't completed counseling, but you've addressed so many things and you've had so much growth. And I just want to encourage you in that, and that you have this stable job and you have such a future going for you. And it's just really amazing to see how far you've come. So I want to encourage you in that. And then some logistical things. Going forward, in like a week, we're gonna have. So my supervisor did end up saying that we can terminate this working relationship, and then we'll send a letter in the mail to you in about a week. And I'm gonna actually also give you. We'll talk about it a little bit at the end. Some different resources. I'll have a sheet that has different phone numbers you can call, and again, we'll talk about that at the end.
Okay.
But just logistically, we're gonna send that to you so you can keep it on file to just show that you've completed this and that you've completed your goal of achieving stable, independent living. So yeah, and then we can also talk about. I know termination can be very hard, especially looking forward. And we've been together for so long, and we've depended on each other and worked through a lot of things. How have you been feeling towards termination?
Yeah, I think it's gonna be hard, and I'm kind of nervous to be out on my own. I guess, but I'm kind of, I don't want to say excited because I'm not excited to not talk to you anymore, but I'm excited to feel like I've reached a point in my life where I don't need you in my life. And I don't know, it's kind of just thinking about like how far I've come. This seems like the next step for it.
Yeah, and that's a great way to look at it. It is your next step. It's only one step in the rest of your future and all that you've invested into. And it's completely normal to feel nervous. We've relied on each other for a lot, and you've come to me with a lot of things, and I've helped you process through and work through a lot of different things. But at the same time, it is super exciting to look forward and see all that you have ahead of you. So I think all of those emotions are very, very normal, and I want to encourage you that those are our normal feelings. So I also want to let you know that this isn't going to be easy. Not just because we have completed this plan that we're terminating our services with you, it's not going to be perfect, and there's going to be setbacks, and there's going to be some barriers that you're going to have to work through. And if we can, I would like to talk through that a little bit, just to make it aware, so we can be aware of what it would look like if you started to maybe fall back into some of those old habits. So if we can, or you can, what would it look like if we started to get back to where we were? Like, what are some of the things and some of the red flags that you would see in your life?
I think if I started, it's always been hard for me to keep a job. So if I started like missing work, or maybe going back to like hanging out with my old friends, stuff like that, I think would be signs that I might need an intervention.
And those are really tangible red flags, which are really good to note. So then the next step in that thought process would be, what would you do then? What would your steps be if you started to see those red flags rising?
I think if I started to feel really depressed again and not want to go to work, just talking to my counselor, I think would help. Like she said that could be a possibility. It could just be like I need my prescription changed or something. And then I think if I'm tempted to hang out with my old friends, I would probably just contact like my sponsor through AA, because she's kind of talked me through some of those temptations and stuff before.
And I think that's a perfect solution, is to rely on those support systems that you've created with your with your sponsor and even with your roommate. Like you have her to go home to, and I know she's very good. You guys have a really good relationship, a very encouraging one. So I think that's a really good thought process, and I'm glad that we've talked about that, so that you can maybe see if those red flags do come up, you can see those and address those ahead of time before we fall back into some of the things that you were struggling with.
Yeah.
So again, I just want to encourage you that you always have this plan, you always have your support systems to fall back on if you ever do start to struggle. But Hannah, you've come so far, and I just want to encourage you in that you've come through so many barriers with your consumption of alcohol, and how many things you had to overcome there, and then you're relying on your sponsor, and you're going to these meetings, and then going to counseling. I know that was also really difficult to address some of those hard things that you have been holding in with the passing away of your parents, and all of those like different hard things you had to work through, and you did, and you've come so far. So are there any more questions, anything you want to talk about?
I don't think so.
All right, so again, looking forward, in about a week, 2 weeks at the latest, we're going to send out that letter saying you've completed here, and that we're going to close the case here, and then I'll give you some of those numbers to call different AAs if you ever would need a different sponsor or different things like that, and then different counseling things you could reach out for. Do you have any more questions as we go forward?
Nope.
All right, so in maybe 2 or 3 months, I'll get back into contact with you, and we'll do a little bit of follow-up just to see how things are going. Does that sound okay?
Okay.
All right, sounds good. See you, Hannah. Bye.